listeners nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
Live from the Palatial yet not overly ostentatious studios of 365 Sports here in beautiful New York City. Welcome on in to a debut Monday edition of the Zach Gelb Show across 365 Sports. Welcome in, everybody, to what is going to be a new, exciting venture for me in the next step of my media career. I'm Zach Gelb. If you don't know me, well, you'll get to know me. If you do know me, I do appreciate you finding us once again in a new home. For the folks that don't know me, you can always get at me on the good old cesspool of Twitter at Zach Gelb, or on Instagram where I'm straight flexing at Zach Gelb. That's ZACHGELB. Make sure, by the way, as if you're listening to us later on in podcast form, that you go to 365 Sports YouTube page, you subscribe, and then you could also find my own page, which is youtube.com/@Zach Gelb Show. And that's where you can get a bunch of content as well that we will post once the show does end. And you can also always watch us live. We'll be here weekdays from 2 to 4 p.m. Eastern time, 1 to 3 p.m. Central time. And I'm very excited for this. You know, I've had a blessed career so far. I'm only 31 years old, but I've been doing the media game since I was in high school, doing shows out of my parents' basement, then going to Temple University. And I did shows at Temple University on WHIP. And I also hosted the Matt Rule Weekly with Matt Rule, which is a football coaches show on television. And then once I graduated college, it was like, you got to go find a job. And I immediately got an opportunity for this teeny station called Fox Sports 920 The Jersey, which no longer even exists anymore. And I was the program director, the janitor, the afternoon drive time host, the call screener, the salesman, and I was even the program director, not only sports station, but the Christian religious station too. So I had my hands in many different things right out of college. And from there, I did that show for about a year and 8 months. I got a big break where I was the post-game host of Philadelphia Eagles football on 97.5 The Fanatics. Whenever the games would end, boom, you would hear me on 97.5 The Fanatic in Philadelphia. And through that opportunity, the year where the Eagles won the Super Bowl, their first Super Bowl championship, I was then, afforded an opportunity to go host weekend overnights at CBS Sports Radio. So I got there at 2018. I left for about 3 months after doing weekend overnights for a year and 8 months. Then Mark Chernoff called me up, and he was like, that was our old program director, and he said something like this, you know, Zach, I have an opportunity for you. And it was the Zach Gelb Show, my own name on the show, 6 to 10 p.m. Eastern time. Then eventually was promoted into 3 to 6 p.m. Eastern time. So the reason why I'm saying this is because that chapter, after 8 glorious years, it came to a close. You know, our company, CBS Sports Radio, turned into Infinity Sports Network. And obviously I had great bosses for years at Odyssey. And when that network basically came to an end, Westwood One was the new company that was a minority partner of mine. They took it over, and I was basically told I was going to be a part of the new lineup, and that's what I thought was going to happen. And they launched a new network, and I wasn't a part of it. That's their business. That's what they're allowed to do. And you put your big boy pants on, and you go to work. And I haven't really heard much from that network since they've launched. You know, I've made a bunch of national headlines through the years, but I'm not really going to talk about them. So I was a free agent, and I had quite a few opportunities. And I'm a radio guy, even though I produced a lot of really good digital viral content through the years. And I turned down a few radio jobs. And I was on with Smokey, who I love, by the way. And let me just say this about Smokey. I love Smokey. He's a good friend. He texts me like a madman during the Nebraska football games. And he may need to see a therapist about his problems with Nebraska football. But I do a weekly spot for the last 3 years with Smokey, probably in football season, right here on 365 Sports. And when I was on with Smokey, a man by the name of John Valade, who runs 365 Sports, heard me. And he goes, oh, I've known Zach since he was working in New Jersey. I know Zach being on with Smokey. let's see if we can get Zach a job here at 365 Sports. Now, I'm going to be honest. When I took that phone call with John, I was not expecting to wind up in this chair being on 365 Sports. I just didn't. And after having a conversation with John, I got excited. I got really excited. And then I talked to Corey Dickman, who made this possible at Rogue Media. And we got to a place where I felt comfortable. They felt comfortable. And now we're going to do this show weekdays, Monday through Friday from 2 to 4 p.m. Eastern time. So here's what you can expect. I give you my opinion. We have compelling sports talk. We feature some of the best industry guests. Sean Alexander will join us later in the week. Drew Bledsoe will join us later in the week. And I only know how to do this job one way, and that's at 1,000 miles per hour. And I'm going to give you my opinions. I'm going to be loud. I'm going to be passionate. I'm going to be excited. Sometimes you'll agree. Sometimes you'll disagree. But it doesn't matter if you disagree with me. I'm not one of these jackasses that sit here and go, oh, you have to agree with my opinion. The world would be boring if we all agreed on things. So what I'm looking for is a show where probably 50% of you are going to love me, 50% of you are going to hate me. Just keep on coming to 365 Sports. Keep on bringing it each and every day. I will be interactive in the YouTube chat. We will have some ideas to kind of get you interacted with the show. And I'm really excited for this opportunity. And I can't wait to see what it's going to take. I'd be lying to you if I have all those answers and if I know, hey, that this is going to be like a 10-year run or this is going to be a 5-year run. I don't know what the future has in store. But this was an opportunity where now we're in a digital space now. You consume media in so many different ways. Smokey and company with Paul and Craig, they have built such a great brand here at 365 Sports. And I'm excited to be here, and I'm excited to see how much success I could have in this next chapter. Because the last 8 years, I was very successful. And I only know how to do this job one way, and I'm going to hope that it translates to each and every one of you. And trust me, some of you, the first time you hear me, you're going to be saying, oh, this guy, I don't want to deal with him. I can't stand him. I hate his guts. That's fine. All I'm asking for is a fair opportunity and a fair chance from the listening audience. And people that have come over from my old shows, your support and your words mean so much to me. And I am now very interested to see how you will blend with the 365 Sports community. And as we grow this community and we make it something that it's already big, it's already successful, I'm looking to make it bigger and more successful. And I trust the people here with Corey, with John, who have been first class all the way. And I can't wait to see where this opportunity does go. I do have a producer, by the way, Garrett Ross. And Garrett has been great, working very diligently behind the scenes. And let's be real. After giving you that whole elevator pitch for the last 8 minutes, I don't think people want to hear me talk about me anymore. I don't. You tune into this show for what reason? You love sports. And whatever the connection was to sports led you here to 365. So we just had an unbelievable wild card weekend, a fantastic wild card weekend that does conclude tonight, by the way, with the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Houston Texans. And I'm going to wait and see who my New England Patriots, who, by the way, where I guess we got to swag back. Ooh, how far the Pats are going to go in the postseason, but they're going to get the winner of this game tonight with the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Houston Texans. But I will have an opportunity later on the show to take some bows and to talk about the excellence that I did on the defensive side of the ball, the New England Patriots up against the Los Angeles Chargers, where the Patriots did win 16-3. But I do think the biggest topic from the weekend, and don't get me wrong, we saw a really good stage setter and scene center with the Carolina Panthers just losing to Matthew Stafford and the LA Rams. It was then followed up with a classic comeback by the Chicago Bears up against the go Pack go. So we saw the Packers basically say, oh no, up against the Bears after they blew and choked up a 21-3 lead. And just those two games were so fun. They were so special. But then after that, what we saw yesterday was really damn good too. Josh Allen finding a way to beat and just survive up against Trevor Lawrence and Liam Cohen with the Jacksonville Jaguars in Duval. Then we saw the Eagles go up against the 49ers that they conclude last night with the Patriots taking care of business up against the Chargers. But let me start this shindig off right here on 365 Sports with the Eagles and the 49ers. I will go with the positive first. What the 49ers did in another injury in a hostile environment is so damn impressive. Like, I have waited and waited and waited to call Kyle Shanahan a great coach. And if you're new to this program, you'll know this. There is a word called great. I am very strict when it comes to using the word great. I do not use the word great very freely and easily. A lot of my fellow confidants in the media landscape will say, oh, this quarterback's great. Oh, this head coach is great. Kyle Shanahan is a really, 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 really good coach. He is. Now, with that being said, he has had teams that have gotten to two Super Bowls, has had two 10-point leads as a head coach in the Super Bowl, and he's lost both of them. So Kyle Shanahan this year has seen Brock Purdy get hurt. He has seen Ricky Pearsall get hurt. He has seen Bosa get hurt, right? There has been an abundance of injuries this year with the San Francisco 49ers. And look where the Niners are. They were a wild card team. They had a chance to be the number one overall seed, but they lost that game to Seattle towards the end of the season. And then they went into Philadelphia, where, let's remember, the Philadelphia Eagles said, we don't care if we have to play the 49ers or not. The Philadelphia Eagles in week 18, they rested their starters, and the Bears lost to the Lions. The Eagles could have got the number 2 seed. And if the Eagles would have played the Packers, they would have beat the Packers, but they had the tougher matchup in the San Francisco 49ers. So we'll get to the criticism of Nick Sirianni in just a second. But this is a 49ers team that, even though they've been a double-digit win team this year, even though they're a really good team this year, they have been literally limping into the postseason. This has been a squad that has been decimated with injuries. And they go into a hostile environment yesterday in Philadelphia, and they just out-physicaled the Philadelphia Eagles. They were the more prepared team, they were the mentally tougher team, and they were the more disciplined team. And, oh yeah, by the way, Mr. Kittle gets hurt with an injury, has the Achilles injury. He's out for the game. And there's Diana Rossini's talking about on social media how a 49er staffer was bringing tequila into the locker room so George Kittle could go enjoy that as he had to deal with the Achilles injury. When Kittle left that game, even though the game wasn't out of reach, it wasn't out of hand, I'm thinking to myself, oh, man, that's a mega loss for the San Francisco 49ers. Like, can they really find a way to lose Kittle and still win this game in another blow to this team where it's just been injury after injury after injury? And who ended up getting the job done? It was Christian McCaffrey, Mr. Run CMC with the 2 receiving touchdowns. Great compliment on the ground and through the air. And Brock Purdy, when he needed to, he rocked out with this Brock out, and he was looking pretty awesome on that last drive for the San Francisco 49ers. We put the ball in the end zone. So Christian McCaffrey and Brock Purdy saved the day. But in reality, as much as I could give words of extolment to Brock Purdy and to Christian McCaffrey, this is really a Kyle Shanahan praise day. That's what it is. Now, Kyle Shanahan still has to exercise those demons of gagging up a 28-3 lead in the Super Bowl with the Atlanta Falcons when he was on that coaching staff, and he was the offensive coordinator. He still has to overcome, blowing 2 10-point leads to the Chiefs. And I know you can say, oh, they're the Chiefs in what was the Super Bowl. But the job he's done this year with less and without a great roster, and to have this team in the divisional round where they will definitely be alive next weekend, this is a heck of a coaching job by Kyle Shanahan. So I wanted to get that out of the way first. I wanted to praise the San Francisco 49ers. It's a job well done, but now let's get to the negative. This Philadelphia Eagles team, you either have chemistry or you don't. And I know this team pretty well. 4 years ago, they were in a Super Bowl. Nick Sirianni had an unbelievable run. His second year as the head football coach of the Philadelphia Eagles. And Nick Sirianni got to the Super Bowl. They had a double-digit lead, and they blew it to the Kansas City Chiefs. Jalen Hurts outplayed Patrick Mahomes in that Super Bowl. Jalen Hurts was the best player on the field in that game, and even Travis Kelce did admit that. Then the following season, they were 10-1. But they were 10-1, and they didn't really look like the way that their record should have said they were. They were a leaky 10-1 football team. They were a 10-1 football team that, quite frankly, you looked at them and you said, They're lucky to be winning some of these games. They won one game down the stretch. They lost in the wild card round to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and their season was over. It was one of the worst second half collapses that I've ever seen in the history of the NFL. The following season, they weren't dominant in the regular season. The Philadelphia Eagles weren't this sensational team in the regular season. There were chemistry problems with the Eagles last year. But come postseason time, they beat the Packers. They survived a late comeback, a game that I was at up against the Rams, the snow in Philadelphia. And then in the NFC Championship game, they went belt to ass to the Commanders and then followed it up 2 weeks later, going belt to ass again up against the Kansas City Chiefs. That's what they did. So there were issues last year with the Eagles, but they found a way to get this shiny trophy called the Lombardi Trophy. And those issues all go away when you win a Super Bowl championship. Or so you thought. Because A.J. Brown, after winning that Super Bowl, said something along the lines of, you dream all your life about winning a Super Bowl. You think that you would be fulfilled. You think that you would feel so accomplished, and it was on to the next one. And A.J. Brown, let's be real, he is a phenomenal wide receiver. He's a pain in the ass. A.J. Brown is a stereotypical diva wide receiver that a lot of us grew up on. Because I was at a playoff game a few years ago, Eagles and Giants, where the Eagles were beating the Giants, and A.J. Brown was pouted on the sideline. I was at the game last year during a playoff game where the Eagles were winning, where he has that book, reading a book on the sideline, Inner Excellence, and I had to go talk to him about it afterwards in the locker room. And this year, it was bitch and complain from A.J. Brown all throughout the season. And some of his bitching was fair. Some of the things that he was bitching about was definitely warranted. But at the end of the day, with the season on the line, after the entire season, you've bitched and complained, and you've cried, and you've been miserable, and you've basically pouted. You had several drops yesterday. First half down the right sideline. I understand it's not the easiest catch in the world. Jalen Hurts throws a dart, throws a dime, and you don't catch it. Late in the game, I understand they got a first down on the next play, but you drop what would have been a big completion. Hey, you do that. The juice this year wasn't worth the squeeze with A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown sat there all year and complained. He was a malcontent all throughout the season. And in the biggest game of the season, you're dropping the ball. A.J. Brown couldn't catch a cold yesterday. That's how bad A.J. Brown was. It's almost like the scene in The Replacements, right? With that wide receiver. Remember Clifford Franklin in the movie The Replacements? Where he keeps on dropping the ball and they're like, oh, get the stickum. And then he puts a stickum on and he goes, hey, coach, I just look like I did something with an elephant. Like A.J. Brown, he couldn't catch anything yesterday. And, Devontae Smith isn't in the ass. I like Devontae Smith, one of my favorite college football players of all time when he was at the University of Alabama and he won a Heisman Trophy. But Devontae Smith hasn't been all that happy this year. And I understand the ball was a little bit high, but late in the game, you get two hands on the football, you got to go reel that football in. So I really thought if the Eagles were going to lose a playoff game, we'd probably be sitting here and we'd be talking about the offense, which we are. But I thought we'd really be lambasting the quarterback in Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts wasn't the biggest problem for the Eagles yesterday. The biggest problem for the Eagles yesterday was A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. And it's ironic to me that two guys that weren't happy throughout the entirety of the season and two guys that have clearly voiced their frustration with the way that the offense was operating just didn't have their best stuff yesterday and dropped several key plays in that game when the ball was thrown their way. It just can't happen. So sure, you could sit there and you could complain about Kevin Patullo, and don't get me wrong, the offensive coordinator was horrendous yesterday. You could complain about Nick Sirianni, but for a team that is really just won, right? Like in the Eagles, they haven't won every game, right? You're not going to do that unless if you're the 72 Dolphins. But for an Eagles run where they've been Super Bowl, wild card exit, like Super Bowl loss, wild card exit, Super Bowl victory, wild card exit, it is crazy the drama that has been surrounded with this team. And Lane Johnson being out was a big blow for the Eagles yesterday. There's no doubt about it. You can make the case he's the MVP of that football team. But how they lost yesterday, it really starts to make you wonder the future of the Philadelphia Eagles. And when you think about the future of the Philadelphia Eagles, it's three people. Kevin Patullo's got to go. They cannot find a way to bring back this offensive coordinator and Kevin Patullo. then I think you have to evaluate the job status of Nick Sirianni. And let me be abundantly clear here, folks. I am not advocating today for the firing of Nick Sirianni. If I'm Jeffrey Lurie, if I'm Howie Roseman, I am 1000% bringing back Nick Sirianni. But with that being said, this is a way where Nick Sirianni could be a surprise firing. What happens if Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman, who have the power, the owner and the GM in Philadelphia, what happens if they go to Nick Sirianni and Nick Sirianni pulls a Doug Peterson when they tell him, hey, we want you to fire Kevin Patullo, and he goes, oh, that's my guy. That's my offensive coordinator, guys. I've been to 2 Super Bowls here. Hey, I've won a Super Bowl. I should be able to pick my staff. If that happens, maybe then the Eagles say, oh, we're going to reset. Maybe we'll get rid of Nick Sirianni. Maybe we'll go bring in John Harbaugh. Now, I would think Kevin Patullo's got to go. I think he will be fired. I do tend to believe that Nick Sirianni will be back. But I said that there's 3 people that we're really talking about. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of other things that this football team needs to address and that this football team needs to fix. But the 3 major things, the 3 broad things, the 3 things that we could just look at right now from a national landscape, it's the offensive coordinator, it's the head coach, and it's their diva wide receiver. Patullo is going to get fired. Sirianni, the head football coach, is going to be back. But what do you do with A.J. Brown? Is A.J. Brown, do you think the juice is worth the squeeze anymore? Personally, I don't think the juice is worth the squeeze anymore with A.J. Brown. He is a really, really good wide receiver. At times, he's a great wide receiver. At times, he looks like a top 5 receiver in the NFL. But this year, that dude was a major pain in the ass. And he was a major pain in the ass when they beat the Giants in the division round a few years ago, and he was pouting. He was a major pain in the ass last year, even when they won a Super Bowl, and he's reading that damn book on the sidelines, causing a scene in the earlier rounds, Inner Excellence. And then also, this year, it was a constant bitch fest from A.J. Brown. That's what it was. And with the season on the line, it was drop after drop after drop after drop. And I get it. I saw it from my friends at Sports Radio 94 WIP. If the Eagles traded A.J. Brown before June 1st, they would take a $20.1 million cap hit, which would be the 4th largest single-season dead cap hit in NFL history. We've seen this story before. I don't care what the money says. You have a quarterback and a wide receiver right now that do not like each other. I don't care what they tell you. I don't care where their friendship was right before the trade and how buddy that they seemed. This quarterback, Jalen Hurts, this wide receiver, A.J. Brown, they don't like each other. And the Eagles didn't lose yesterday because of Jalen Hurts. A.J. Brown was at more fault for losing yesterday than the quarterback in Jalen Hurts. And also, let you know a little secret. When there is a feud, when there is a fight, when there is a contentious relationship between a quarterback and a wide receiver, who do you think's going to win? Who do you think's going to win? I don't know. Is it the wide receiver or is it the quarterback? Obviously the quarterback's going to win. And I'm not telling you that Jalen Hurts is perfect. I'm not telling you that Jalen Hurts is all that. And Jalen Hurts can improve his leadership style. But what I am saying is A.J. Brown, I think you've seen the best of him in Philadelphia. Really damn good wide receiver. Can get you to 2 Super Bowls. Can win you a Super Bowl. But right now, do I think this situation with A.J. and Jalen is salvageable? Do I think we could find them to coexist again to go win another Super Bowl? I don't think so. Because that relationship or lack of it between Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown, it's been deteriorating for years. And this year it met the boiling point. This year it was, it is fractured and it's fractured beyond repair. And with the season on the line, A.J. Brown, Mr. Diva, Mr. Pouting all the time, Mr. Upset all the time, not happy with the quarterback. He let the quarterback down. He let the team down. He had drops in the first half, drops in the second half. He had drops all throughout the game. And I understand what the money is. But A.J. Brown, I don't think wants to be in Philadelphia anymore. And if you injected Howie Roseman with some truth serum, I don't think he wants A.J. Brown in Philadelphia anymore. And I'll tell you this, the quarterback too, you don't need to inject him with truth serum. Now, he'll never tell you what he's actually thinking, right? But he won't do that publicly because I've seen Jalen Hurts win games and he acts like he loses them. But if you had Jalen Hurts pulled off to the side, no cameras, no fanfare, and I said, hey, Zach Gelb, just be a little bit honest with me. Do you like AJ Brown? He would look at me and be like, no chance. I'm done with him. I'm done with this act. AJ Brown, even though at times his opinions were merited, even though at times his opinions were warranted, even though at times his opinions were fair, AJ Brown has worn out his welcome in Philadelphia. And that relationship is not salvageable between the quarterback and the wide receiver anymore. So, what a disastrous end to the Philadelphia Eagles season. One, by the way, where they were leaking at times, but they beat Buffalo, right? In the same week, didn't they beat Green Bay and they beat the Detroit Lions, and the Lions didn't make the playoffs? They beat the Rams this year. They came on back and beat the Rams this year. But this is a year where you start to sit there and say, okay, people in Philadelphia thought they were on the road to a dynasty. And you could have down years in dynasties. And hey, a down year for the Eagles still making the postseason. But when there's this much fighting, there's this much yelling, and there's this much complaining about one another, you got to have some big changes here. And there are huge changes that are going to happen this offseason. And the general manager is going to take care of that. And Howie Roseman, one of the best executives in the sport. But this Eagles wave of emotions, going back to Doug Peterson, right, winning a Super Bowl, then a few years later getting fired, then bringing in Nick Sirianni. First year they make the playoffs. Second year they make the Super Bowl. Third year they start off 10-1. They collapse down the stretch. Last year they win the Super Bowl. And this year, it's kind of reminded me more of 2 years ago. And they walked into the postseason as a 3 seed. And they were kind of limping into the postseason. But the Niners were limping into the postseason as well in a different way. They were literally hurt. I know the Eagles didn't have Lane Johnson. The Eagles have a great defense. The Eagles were limping into the postseason because the offensive side of the ball is all can't stand one another right now. And that 49ers team led by their head coach and Kyle Shanahan, their star running back and one of the best playmakers in the league in Christian McCaffrey, and their quarterback in Brock Purdy, they walked into Philadelphia. They walked into your house. A.J. Brown crashed out. Devontae Smith couldn't catch the ball late. Nick Sirianni and Kevin Patullo look lost. And the San Francisco 49ers handed the Philadelphia Eagles a big fat L. So on one side, you got good team chemistry. You got good coaching. And on the other side, you have horrible team chemistry and coaching right now that isn't up to par. Zach Gelb here with you on 365 Sports for our first ever episode right here of the Zach Gelb Show on 365 Sports. You can watch us Monday through Friday from 2 to 4 p.m. Eastern time on YouTube. Make sure you give us a subscribe right on 365 Sports. And you can also find me on my own channel as well right here on 365 Sports, which is youtube.com at Zach Gelb Show, / at Zach Gelb Show. So you can find us there. Also interact with us on Twitter and Instagram at Zach Gelb, ZACHGELB. And you can also find me on TikTok. I don't think I'm going to dance for you on TikTok, but I am on TikTok at the Zach Gelb Show. We'll take a timeout. When we come on back, we got to get to the Bears and the Packers because the Chicago Bears welcomed in the Green Bay Packers. And for most of that game, you're saying, uh-oh, it's the same old Bears. But then the Bears look like a different animal, and they handed the Packers a can of whoop ass down the stretch in that fourth quarter. And the Bears, they grated away that cheese of the Green Bay Packers, and they eliminated the Green Bay Packers. What's the future of Matt LaFleur? What are your thoughts on Jordan Love? And how about those post-game antics from one Ben Johnson and all Caleb Williams? We get all into that. Zach Gelb here with you on the Zach Gelb Show on 365 Sports.
The 4-burner, side sear burner with Clearview glass stainless steel grill from Monument Grills. Made of tempered glass, which is strong, insulated, and allows you to check your grilling without lifting the lid. Our porcelain-coated cast iron cooking grids offer a large cooking surface of 513.3 square inches, primary cooking area, with even heat cooking. The Monument Grills include LED control knobs and are easy to light with pilotless electronic ignition. Better grilling, better value, Monument Grills.
Protect your online privacy with NordVPN. Browse securely, access content from anywhere, and keep your data safe with military-grade encryption. Whether at home or on the go, NordVPN ensures your digital freedom. Stay secure. Download NordVPN today at nordvpn.com. That's NORDVPN.com.
I'm Abby Dommett, 2023 CrossFit Games athlete, and I use Airwave because it helps me breathe easier and stay more relaxed during my workouts.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Very discreet.
Hey, this is Howie. And this is Nick from the Backstreet Boys. And you're listening to the Zach Gelb Show. And guess what? Zach is back. All right.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show.
Oh my God, we're back again.
Hey, how you doing? Yep, we're doing the show again. That's right. It is the Zach Gelb Show on our brand new home, 365 Sports. Once again, and thank our friends in John Valade and also Corey Dickman enough for putting this together. And when I separated from my last place of employment, and I love time with Odyssey and the folks at CBS Sports Radio and the Infinity Sports Network, but when that network did change ownership and it was taken over by Westwood One Sports for whatever the reasons were, and I really don't know them to this day. They said, "Oh, we're interested in you," and then we want you, and then, you know what? Understand it, but doesn't really mean much because we have a new landing spot that's right here on 365 Sports, and I'm excited to grow what is already a well-oiled machine and a really good thing for sports fans in the sports world. When you check out 365 Sports and David Smoke and Craig Smoke and Paul Catalina and all the work that they've done, and now they are tapping more into different shows and national brands. And I got a call from John Valade, and next thing you know, I'm talking to Corey, and the next thing you know, we kind of got this thing together in about a week and a half, and we said, I don't want to sit on the bench during all this postseason talk. Like wild card, I'll tell you, coming up week 18, and I do stuff still for Compass Media Network, so I was on the call for the Eagles and the Commanders with Baldy, Brian Baldinger, and Chris Carino, and I do college basketball for Compass Media Network, so about 10 games for them or so this year. So I still have a platform, but there's a different art in this business, and there's a different connection when you get to do your own show, and I get to talk to you each and every day. So if you're new, welcome. We thank you. If you're a returning customer on a new platform and a new venture, well, I can't thank you enough for joining us. And we'll be here Monday through Fridays from 2 to 4 p.m. Eastern time. And by the way, I'm getting more and more thrown into the YouTube world, and there are these things called super chats, which I guess that you could send us money. And let me just make sure I get this right. Still Alive 365. He sent me a super chat for $49.99. Good job there. I Still Alive 365. Zach Gelb, let's go. Now, I do wonder, why couldn't we just get $50? Why couldn't you throw a little 50 at me instead of $49.99? But I do appreciate Still Alive 365 sending us $49.99. All righty. Let's get back to the football. That's what we do best. And we will do a ton of NFL. We will do a ton of college. Because I know that maybe some people listening to us from 365 Sports and has Texas roots, Waco, Texas roots, and they may be saying, this Yankee, this Northeastern. I'm like, come on. This guy from the East Coast, what does he know about college football? I'm a Heisman Trophy voter. I do have a ton of connections in college football. My old show, we used to get Kalen DeBoer on all the time, Dan Lanning, Matt Rule, some of the biggest coaches in college football, and they'll continue to join us, on this new venture and this new home. But I do a ton of college football, and I'll get more into the college football later on in the show. The national championship game, Indiana and Miami, that's going to come your way a week from today on Monday at Hard Rock Stadium in South Florida. What a story about Kurt Signetti and Fernando Mendoza in Miami. Some people didn't even want them in the college football playoff. They get in the college football playoff. They go get a victory up against A&M and Marcel Reed. Late, sloppy, low-scoring game. They followed up with another victory up against Big Bad Ohio State. Oh, crying day. How do you like them now? Crying day with the Buckeyes as Ryan Day does go down once again in a big spot after winning a national championship, to be fair, a year ago. And then they're going up against Ole Miss, Trinidad Chambliss, Kejuan Lacey, It felt like they should have been up by more, but they weren't. And Miami with Carson Beck, they were just an absolute juggernaut on third down. And at the end of the game, Carson Beck runs into the end zone, and Ole Miss had an opportunity at the end to go put the ball back in the end zone and go win the game. And it was pass interference. I think in college you could call it in that spot. It's only a 15-yard penalty. In the NFL, it would be a spot foul. But you know pretty much in those moments and in those spots that they're just not going to call pass interference. So you go mug the offensive player, the wide receiver, and 9 times out of 10 that you get away with it. But Miami advances to the national championship where they're going to take on Indiana. And Kurt Cignetti, like this may be the most impressive coaching job I've ever seen. I'm only 31. So I wasn't alive in 1980 when Herb Brooks with the Miracle on Ice and Mike Eruzione, who do you play for? The United States of America. So I wasn't alive for that. Obviously, I know the history. But Indiana is a basketball school. Indiana is like the most losingest college football program of all time. Cignetti walks in there, he says, Google me, right? Like all I do is win. You know, we're going to beat Michigan. We're going to beat Ohio State. And I'm like, who the heck is this guy? Like, what? This guy at Indiana is talking this big of game? All right, I'm intrigued. And the first year he's in the college football playoff, all right, they lose to Notre Dame. Jeremiah Love's still running in that game. They lose to Notre Dame. And then the following year, they bring in Fernando Mendoza from Cal, and he's having a Joe Burrow type of season. Hey, he really is. Joe Burrow, and I was there. I covered Joe Burrow's Heisman Trophy presentation. I was working for Sirius, and I was with Joe Burrow pretty much for like the entirety of the day. And I did the first radio interview Joe Burrow did after winning the Heisman Trophy. It was myself, Jacob Hester, former LSU great, and Joe Burrow. And like that story was crazy. The year before, Joe Burrow wasn't the star of that team. Like Nick Brossette was a damn good running back. And then with Ed Orgeron, go Tigers. And also in addition to Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson, Joe Burrow goes from what? A 6th or a 7th round draft pick. And then he goes to the number 1 overall pick in the draft, 60 passing touchdowns that season, undefeated national championship winning season. But that's at LSU, right? 3 different coaches have won national championships at LSU since 2000. Nick Saban, the greatest college football coach of all time, then Les Miles, and then Orgeron. What Fernando Mendoza is doing is he took over a program that, yes, Cignetti got to a college football playoff last year, and it was inconceivable. I would have never imagined that Indiana would have been a part of the first ever college football playoff, but going into this year, I thought Indiana would probably lose 3 or 4 games. I really did. And if they would have, lost 3 or 4 games, I still say, hey, it's a solid season for Indiana. It's Indiana. They're better, though, this year. They are undefeated. They beat Ohio State in the Big Ten championship game. They're now in the national championship game. They beat the doors off and the brakes off of Alabama in the Rose Bowl, and then they took it even worse to Oregon. So now you're going to probably have Fernando Mendoza be the number 1 overall pick in the draft. He'll go to the Raiders. You got Kurt Cignetti, who is in a 2-year stretch, find me a more impressive job by any college football coach in the history of college football. And now they're going up against Miami, who's a heck of a story. And I like Mo, but how do you bet against Kurt Cignetti right now? You can't. So we'll do a ton of college football. We'll get into the news later on in the show. Dylan Raiola is going to Oregon, and Sam Levitt is going to LSU. So we'll react to that later on in the show. But let's get back to the NFL. We opened up the Zach Gelb Show, the debut show on 365 Sports. Will be here weekdays from 2 to 4 p.m. Eastern time. And we opened up the show discussing the Eagles and their offensive problems and A.J. Brown being a clown and Kevin Patullo being a terrible offensive coordinator, Nick Sirianni getting into it with A.J. Brown where he's trying to get A.J. Brown's ass off the field after A.J. Brown dropped that ball in the first half and the Eagles had to punt. And the 49ers team, that they've just been kept on getting killed with injuries. Kittle had another one with the Achilles, and they walked into Philadelphia and they got the job done. So that's how we started it. But let's now get into the Bears and the Packers. And this has been a year where it's been a changing of the guard in the NFC North, where going into the year, all right, let's see what J.J. McCarthy's going to do with Justin Jefferson. Didn't work out. They missed the playoffs. All right, the Lions. The last 3 years, they've been such a special story. NFC Championship game, divisional round, right? This is going to be their year. Maybe they're going to go win the Super Bowl. Yep, they didn't make the playoffs. They didn't. And then you get the Green Bay Packers. Oh, they got Micah Parsons. Oh, you got Jordan Love. Matt LaFleur is ready to take the next step. They lose in wild card weekend. And then you have the Chicago Bears, where I always tell you the truth, folks. I will tell you when I'm right, and I will throw it in your face when I'm right. And when I'm wrong, I'll raise my hand and I'll say I'm wrong. I was wrong on Ben Johnson. Now, I understood why Ben Johnson was a very attractive potential head coach. But Ben Johnson, his arrogance and the way he conducted himself in this offseason, it rubbed me the wrong way. Now, I've had the coaching ick a few times in my life. Mike McDaniel gave me the coaching ick for his bloviating, disastrous press conferences. I was right on Mike McDaniel. Ben Johnson saying, oh, I can't wait to kick Matt LaFleur's ass twice a year. And then some of the things that he did earlier in the season where he basically threw his team under the bus. And they got to practice harder. I got the ick with Ben Johnson. I said, here we go. Another guy that thinks he's the smartest guy in the room, has never been a head coach before. And look what's happening when they were 0-2. But that dude had a vision. And you saw something with Dan Campbell. Like when Dan Campbell got to Detroit, I know he had a lot of losing in that first season, but he talked a big game. He eventually backed it up. When you got to see Ben Johnson get to Chicago, he talked a big game. It didn't take him a full year to back it up. Like, hey, like this year, build momentum, then the next year, okay, then you capitalize. No. He backed it up here a few weeks into the season. After a little bit of a bumpy start, it was that game. I was in Atlanta for it. It was a Monday night doubleheader. It was Bills and Falcons. Falcons beat the Bills like midway through the season, actually. And then you had the Commanders play the Bears, and the Bears just squeaked out a victory. Just squeaked it out up against the Commanders. That game totally changed their entirety of the season. It did. Because this has been a different football team where there's a lot of games where you look at them and you go, oh, just as easily as they won it, they could have lost it. But you look back after that game up against the Commanders, they beat the Saints. They were on a 4-game win streak. All right, they lose to the Ravens. Then after that, they beat the Bengals, the Giants, the Vikings, the Steelers, the Eagles. They lose to the Packers. They beat the Browns. They avenged that loss to the Packers. And then, yes, they lost their last 2 games of the season, but they were sitting there at 11-6 going into the postseason. And when they walked into that playoff game, all right, the Packers, they aren't this dominant team like we thought they were going to be in the first 2 weeks of the season, right? They start off the season with those 2 victories that the Packers had. And I'm looking there and I'm saying, okay, they beat the Lions. They beat the Commanders. This is going to be a heck of a season for the Green Bay Packers. Now, obviously, later on in the year, Micah Parsons had the Achilles injury. And when Micah Parsons got hurt, I think the ship really sailed on this being a potential Super Bowl team this year. Because remember, I thought the Packers going into the season before Micah Parsons, like a week and a half before the season started, if you would say, Zach, what do you think about the Packers? They go, oh, wild card team, maybe they win 1 playoff game. They go get Micah Parsons, and it's like, boom. Here we go. Super Bowl for the Green Bay Packers. And after the 2-0 start, oh boy, it's looking like that's going to happen. But the Packers going into the postseason, they weren't a strong brand of football. And you looked at the Bears where it was like, okay, the Bears won the division, but still, how good are the Bears? Yeah, the Bears could be the 2 seed in the NFC, but, are they really that good? Is this guy, Ben Johnson, really that dude? Caleb Williams, is he really that good? All right, Colston Loveland was unbelievable for them in the game. But you're looking at them, and this has just been a year of football where you haven't really fell in love with anybody. And they're down 21-3 at half. Going into the fourth quarter, they're down 21-6, folks. 21-6. I went out for dinner on Friday night, or Saturday night, excuse me, which I don't like to do during the postseason. But, you got friends, you got milestone birthdays, girlfriend wants to go to them, all that stuff. So we went to this place, Carmine's and Sons. My 2 best friends, one of my best friend's wife, my other best friend's girlfriend. We went at the Carmine Sons. We got a bunch of pizzas, wings. We had their Italian sports bar. What a great concept. I love Italian food. I love sports. Boom. I go to Carmine's and Sons. And that's where we had dinner and watched the games. So there was all these TVs. And it's weird. It's almost like they want to identify as part sports bar, part nice sit-down Italian restaurant. So in one section of the restaurant, it's the sports bar, how a typical sports bar would look. The other side of the restaurant, it's like sit down, you got TVs, but it's a little bit more tamed. For some reason, they put us in more of the tame section. And there was like a party in there, but it wasn't a private party. There was 30 people sitting to my right. And these people, they're not sports fans. There's a big monitor, big projector in front of them. They're chatting, they're having fun. I had to pull up the game on my phone. I'm sitting there during the Panthers and the Rams, and then I go, can these a-holes just sit down? Can they? Now, I'm allowed to curse on here, by the way. Can these assholes just sit down? I'm not going to curse a lot, but sometimes when I need to, I will. So eventually their food comes out. They sit down. I could get the game off the phone. I'm watching on the 80-inch projector that was there. So I see how that game ends. Panthers looks like they're going to pull it off. Then Stafford with Parkinson, boom, touchdown. Really cool stuff. Really fun way. Perfect pigs in the blanket for a wild card weekend. It was an elite appetizer. And then I started watching that second game. Now, halftime of the second game, it was my friend's buddy's birthday. My buddy's girlfriend's birthday. So we walked over to this place where they had another monitor. We could watch the game, and that was awesome. And I'm watching. I had a little parlay cooking. So the first leg of the parlay, it was Kyron Williams' touchdown. That hit in the Rams-Panthers game. And the second part of the parlay was I need a Colston Loveland touchdown. Now, Colston Loveland, 160-something yards? He didn't get in the end zone. He had 2-point conversion, didn't get in the end zone. But when I'm watching that game and having a few drinks, right, old-fashioned, after too many old-fashions, all right, I'll go to beer and sing happy birthday, all that stuff, blah, blah, blah. And we had like a room back there, so it was cool and all. It was private, and I could watch the game. When I'm looking up at this monitor, I see 21-3. And Ben Johnson's basically getting humble pie served to him on the sideline. I'm saying to myself, this is Bears, nice story, bad ending. A few weeks ago, you played the Packers. The Packers choked that game away. You probably shouldn't have won it. And, all right, they're just better than you. Even though you won the division, they're just better than you. But this Bears team, this new Chicago Bears team, they don't win this game 5 years ago. They don't win this game 10 years ago. But they win this game with Ben Johnson as their head football coach. It's not as if Caleb Williams was miraculous. It's not as if Caleb Williams was sensational. Look at his stat numbers and his line. It was rather pedestrian. But what do great quarterbacks do? What do great teams do? They find a way to play their best when they just simply don't have it. They find a way to win games. Let me rephrase that. They find a way to win games when they don't play their best. That's what they do. And for 3 quarters, it was man, the Bears are a rough watch. And then in the fourth quarter, something went off in them where it was, we got to go, come on back. We got to go fight off this army. It's like 100 against 3 right now. We don't got a chance. We still got our weapons. And that Chicago Bears team at home at Soldier Field up against the Green Bay Packers shot down one Packer after the next, after the next, after the next, after the next. And then they're like Johnny Drama getting up on the top of that mountain and screaming, victory! That's what they did. In the first 3 quarters, they were shit. They really were. But in the fourth quarter, they believed in their coach. They believed in their quarterback. They believed in their defense. They believed in their controversially drafted tight end in Colston Loveland. And now they're off to the second round, where they get another home game as the number 2 seed. Think about that. That was a special, and I mean a special, special, special victory for the Chicago Bears. And afterwards, I know a lot of people were probably annoyed, right? Because we treat football as such sacred stuff. And you look at afterwards the handshake with Ben Johnson and Matt LaFleur. And let's be real. If you're just being honest about it, it was a petulant look for one Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson runs over, quickly does like the high five, but let me run away. That moment emasculated. I mean, emasculated Matt LaFleur. Matt LaFleur's got that blank stare on his face like, oh, this guy said he can't wait to beat me 2 times a year. We just lost to them for the second time this year. My team just gagged away. It was supposed to be a Super Bowl winning season for the Packers when the season commenced when they got Michael Parsons out for the year. We were up 21-3. We were up 21-6 entering the fourth quarter. And that guy that's been saying all those things about me looked like we were about to take him out. And then he grabbed me by my ankles, turned me upside down, took all my lunch money, and walked out of his stadium with the victory. Think about that. Like Matt LaFleur, home crowd, down 21-3, down 21-6. Packers are dominating the game, bludgeoning the Bears. And then that dude, Ben Johnson, let that come back. Holy smokes. And afterwards, you may not like the handshake. Afterwards, you say, don't agree with it. Win with class. Don't be an ass. But Ben Johnson has to turn around the Chicago Bears. That's not an easy task. This is an organization that's never had a 4,000-yard passer. This is an organization that, like, every 3 years, if not less, new coach, new quarterback. That's what this has been. And in year one, he has turned around Caleb Williams. In year one, Ben Johnson has the Bears not only winning the NFC North, but coming on back down 21-3 up against the Packers, and now they're in the second round of the playoffs. They're in the second round of the playoffs. You're going to get Bears and Rams coming up this weekend, I think on Sunday, by the way. So that's that. That's what Ben Johnson did. He emasculated Matt LaFleur. Came on back, beat him, after being down 21-3, unbelievable fourth quarter. And then after the game, I'm barely going to even shake your hand. And you're going to have that blank stare where you're annoyed, but you can't really react other than that, because then you're going to come off as a sore loser. Like Ben Johnson was a sore winner. You're going to come off as a sore loser if you react to the bait that Matt LaFleur got sent by one Ben Johnson. But Ben Johnson doesn't have respect for Matt LaFleur. He doesn't. And at first I sat there and I'm like, who is this guy, Ben Johnson? Never been a head coach before. LaFleur's a solid, good head coach, right? Been to the playoffs a bunch of times with Rodgers, with Jordan Love. Like, who is Ben Johnson to talk all this smack? And guess what? He talked smack. He talked the talk. But you know what Ben Johnson did on Saturday evening? Didn't look like he was going to walk the walk. Football's a game of 60 minutes, though. And he eventually walked the walk. That's what he did. And he walked out of Soldier Field with a big victory. And here's the thing about the Bears. I'm not telling you the Bears are going to the NFC Championship game. I'm not telling you that the Bears are going to win the Super Bowl. But you better take the Bears out when you have the opportunity. If you're a fighter and you're in the 7th round and you're just pounding your opponent, big punch after big punch after big punch, and that's what you're doing. You get that chance when the other fighter's legs are wobbly. He's seeing stars. He's dehydrated. His eyes swollen. His lips busted. Right? His nose is gushing blood. You get that chance to knock him out, you better not swing and miss. Because the Chicago Bears, even when it looks like they're about to get knocked out, if you give them a little life, if you just give them a little teeny tiny life, they come on back and they can kick your ass, and not only kick your ass, they'll walk out of there all bloody and all disgusted, but you'll be on the floor and you'll be knocked out. Because that's what happened between the Packers and the Bears. The Bears looked like they were going to get embarrassed. The Bears looked like that they were going to be knocked out early. But the Packers had the opportunities to deliver that knockout punch. And a few things didn't go their way. And the next thing you know, Matt LaFleur gets knocked out, boom, by Ben Johnson. Caleb Williams knocks out Jordan Love. And the Chicago Bears, who have been tormented by this Green Bay Packers team, they get to say, not today, not tonight. We are going to find a way to get a victory. And we've seen that several times this year with the Chicago Bears, where you're watching them. And I'm someone that has been rooting against Ben Johnson this year, and now I can't root against him anymore because, man, he has been an impressive head football coach. But I'm sitting there, and at one game, you're on the seesaw ride, and you're like all the way up here, and you're saying to yourself, wow, Ben Johnson. And then by the end of it, Ben Johnson takes that big fat foot of his, steps on it, and then Zach Gelb goes flying, whee, and away you go, right? And you fall right off the seesaw. That's what Ben Johnson has done. Now, I saw the Schefter report that the Bears are going to try, or the Packers, are going to try to get a new deal done with Matt LaFleur, and they're going to have contract talks. I am curious what that offer is going to be. And I'm also curious if Matt LaFleur wants to stay there. Now, Matt LaFleur has 1 year left in the contract. This is what I would do if I'm running the Green Bay Packers. And it may be viewed as disrespectful. It may be viewed as unfair. You may think he's a lame duck head coach. I'm not rushing to extend Matt LaFleur. I once said that the Jacksonville Jaguars shouldn't rush to go pay Trevor Lawrence a big contract. Look how that is now. And I once said the Miami Dolphins should let it wait and play on out with Tua Tagovailoa. They gave him a big contract. Look how that works out. I'll say the same thing about Matt LaFleur right now. He's under contract for another year. Hey, Matt, you've been good for us, but you haven't been great. We are the Green Bay Packers. We expect a Lombardi trophy out of our head football coach. You know that Lombardi guy? Lombardi, he's a Packer royalty, Packer legend, Packer great. You know, we expect to win championships here. That's what we expect. And I would say, we're not saying we don't want you anymore, but this is a big year for you. This is a year you got to prove it to us. This is a year you got to show it to us. I wouldn't give him a new contract. I would say play out this year. And then, hey, we're satisfied with you at the end of the year. Then we'll give you whatever you want. So I'm curious what the offer is going to be to Matt LaFleur. Is it a 2-year extension? Is it a 1-year extension? Is it a 4 or 5 year extension? Because maybe the Packers go to Matt LaFleur and go, all right, we're content with you. You know, we're fine with you. Like, you know, when a lady may ask you, hey, how does this look? The worst answer is, yeah, it's fine. That means you don't really love it. So are the Packers going to give an offer to Matt LaFleur where it's just like, yeah, you're fine? Or is it going to be, no, you're our head football coach. We still believe in you. And if Matt LaFleur doesn't get this offer that blows him away, maybe Matt LaFleur says, I'll go to Atlanta. You know, I know Matt Ryan was just hired as the president of football operations, or whatever they're calling it, with the Atlanta Falcons. You know, maybe he goes there. Maybe he wants to be the next head football coach of the Giants. I think he'd be crazy. Like, if I'm Matt LaFleur, I don't want to leave the Green Bay Packers. I wouldn't. Why would you want to leave the Green Bay Packers? How much better of a situation are you going to get? And it's not an ideal situation, but that's a legacy brand. You have a good team, and you got to do better. I wouldn't run. But I wonder if the Packers are even going to give him an offer that is like, hey, we really want you as the coach. Or is it, oh, we'll just give you a short extension because we don't think you should be a lame duck head coach. If I'm the Packers, though, I'm not giving him any offer. And then if he has a problem with it, I'll go find myself a new head football coach. But with how this happened, it is a week-to-week league, a year-to-year league, right? Like, you hear those cliches. The Green Bay Packers in the first 2 weeks of the season looked like they were going to be a Super Bowl team. Going into the postseason, no one thought that they were going to go win a Super Bowl. And even after getting handed a 21-3 lead, they couldn't find a way to beat the Bears. It's a new low for the Green Bay Packers. You know, say what you want, whether the Packers win the Super Bowl or not in previous years, it was death, taxes, beating the Bears. They lost to the Bears twice this year. Twice. And this time, they were up 21-3, 21-6 going to the fourth quarter, and they couldn't get the job done. Inexcusable. So, Green Bay, I don't know what you're going to offer Matt LaFleur. He's got a year left in the contract. I would say no offer. I would say let's reevaluate this at the end of next season. We need to be better. We expect our players to be better, and we expect you to be better. That's what I would say. But, man, what a huge Saturday night for one Ben Johnson, and what a miserable, and I mean miserable, embarrassing, pathetic night for one Matt LaFleur. And Ben Johnson said it today. He goes, the McCaskey family, they hate the Packers. I hate the Packers. And this is a rivalry. And sports sometimes now, especially in the year of 2026, it's all like lovey-dovey. College football, there's rivalries. You know, in the NFL, there's some rivalries. Ravens and Steelers, Packers and Bears. But a lot of other times, like you look at the NBA, everyone just wants to be friends in the NBA. And like LeBron James didn't say anything negative about anybody. Like, who's LeBron James's rival? Steph? I like buddies. KD? Nah, like, they're buddies. Unless if KD's getting on some burner account and talking crap about one LeBron James. So in the NFL, and more so in college football, there are some rivalries. But you need a guy that's really going to stir the pot. And Packers fans now hate Ben Johnson. Bears fans idolize Ben Johnson. And a lot of times, like the Patriots and the Jets. I live in New York. I'm a Patriot fan. My best friend of 25 years always talks up the Jets. He's always wrong. Are the Jets really a rival? I don't like the Jets. But when you beat up on little brother year after year after year after year after year, is it really a rivalry? Or do you have some sympathy for that team? For years, the Packers have owned the Bears. Not this year. The Bears this year beat the Packers twice. And they beat them in the postseason on what was an epic comeback. And Ben Johnson, who had a lot of energy against the Packers before the season started, not only won, he won in a way where he came back, it was resilient, and then he wanted to embarrass the Packers afterwards and embarrass their head football coach. That's a great rivalry. Where the Bears, after year after just getting beat down by the Packers, right, tug of war, and they're just falling flat on their face. The Packers are holding the rope, and they're saying victory. The Bears pull back the rope this year. And I'm curious to see what happens next year. I'm curious to see how far that the Bears take it. But here's my advice to the rest of the league, and I'm not saying the Bears are going to win the Super Bowl. If you have a chance to knock them out, you better. Because if you just give them a little sliver of hope going into the fourth quarter, they find a way to get the job done, even if the stats don't look all that pretty. Zach Gelb here with you on our debut show on 365 Sports. This is the Zach Gelb Show. We'll take a timeout. When we come on back, we will look at the New England Patriots as they did welcome in the Los Angeles Chargers. Justin Herbert, no bueno. Offensive line was horrible. And the Patriots defense looked like they were in championship form. We'll get into that when the Zach Gelb Show on 365 Sports. Make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube on the 365 Sports YouTube page. Also, the Zach Gelb Show YouTube page as well after these short messages.
You have a second?
Yeah, come on in.
Thanks. I'm having an issue with Ralph.
With Ralph?
He keeps stealing my lunch.
He's just researching new flavors.
That is slow smoked turkey.
Ralph steals my lunch all the time. You get used to it.
He also peed on my bag.
He is warming up to you. You know, starting a new job, it's a big change. I want you to think about how you can be more accommodating to Ralph. We're all co-owners here.
If I'm only wearing one suit this summer, it has to be Tuileries Performance Linen. It's wrinkle resistant, machine washable, and built with stretch and breathability that actually moves with you. It'll keep you cool, sharp, and stress-free at your next event.
What does being different mean to me? You know, that is an interesting question.
Because there really isn't one way. There's a bunch of different ways you could do it.
But love is passion. Someone you can't live without. What do you want?
What's that really good non-alcoholic beer I keep hearing about?
Do you have that really great non-alcoholic beer that I keep seeing?
You mean athletic? You're looking at it.
It's athletic. Ask for it.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show.
All righty, welcome on in. Hour number 2 of our show, the Zach Gelb Show, right here on 365 Sports. Welcome on our debut show. We are going to be here weekdays, Monday through Friday from 2 to 4 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll probably end the show on most days right at 3:50 p.m. Eastern Time. That way we could have a little turnover. A lot of people behind the scenes, they also work on 365 Sports, with Smokey, with Dave Smoke and Craig Smoke and Paul Catalina. So we will probably end most days right about 3:50 p.m. Eastern Time. But if you're just joining us, welcome. I thank you for finding us once again. We are right here on YouTube each and every day. And then when the show ends, because I've been getting a lot of people saying, hey, Zach, where can I get the show if I miss the show? Well, you can go right back to YouTube and you could go to the 365 Sports YouTube page. Make sure you subscribe. We need you guys to subscribe. So you go to youtube.com/@365sports and YT and you subscribe. Subscribe. That's what you need to do first. And that's where you can find us. That's where you can watch us live Monday through Friday from 2 to 4 p.m. Eastern Time. And then what you could also do is you go to youtube.com/@ZachGelbShow. Make sure you subscribe there. I don't ask for much. I show up. I do the show each and every day. We try to entertain you. We try to give you an escape from whatever you need an escape from. And we give you a product that features opinions, passion, compelling sports talk, and some of the best industry guests. That's what I give you. That's what I've done the entirety of my career. All I need you to do is go to 365 Sports on YouTube and you subscribe there. And then I also need you, after you do that, and we thank you so much for doing that, you go to youtube.com/@ZachGelbShow and subscribe there. Those are the two things I ask. Now, if I could get a little greedy, if I'm the kid that gets a great Christmas gift and then gets another one and then says, I need one more gift from you. You could also go to my social media pages, Twitter, Instagram, @ZachGelb, TikTok, @The Zach Gelb Show, and give me a follow there. But the main things I need from you is I need you to subscribe to 365 Sports on YouTube, where we're growing a great community. The chase to 100,000 subscribers is on. Right now, we're at 70.9 thousand. That's where we're at right now. I want to get to 100,000. We need you to subscribe. And then already our Zach Gelb Show page is 12.1 thousand subscribers. So let's get that number up. And you keep on coming back here Monday through Friday, as long as they'll have me here, from 2 to 4 p.m. Eastern Time. We're going to give you the show the way that we've always given you the show. And if you're back, like I see Psych Manthers in the YouTube chat. I see Daly's in the YouTube chat. Delta 9 Brian's in the YouTube chat. Two-Tone Tony. Tony, what's up? He's in the YouTube chat. Guys that watched us on my old home, my old network, they know what they're getting. Now I got to win over the people at 365 Sports in this great community. And it's a community that I have a lot of respect for, where, I met Smokey through Matt Rule. Smokey was doing that show on the radio for years in Waco, Texas. Matt Rule got hired. They said, we need someone that knows Matt Rule. We got connected, and Smokey and I become friends. I went on his show for the last 3 years. We're going to continue to go on his show. And when, I got let go, kind of let go. It was one of those situations where our company sold our network. The new network taken on over, told me I was going to be their guy. And then for whatever reason, they didn't end up hiring me. When that ended, I had a bunch of different people reach out to me. Like, I'm still working for Compass Media Networks, doing studio hosting NFL, Dallas Cowboys, college basketball. And I had some opportunities that were coming about, and I just didn't love any of them. And then I got on the phone with John Valade here at 365 Sports, and he connected me with Corey Dickman, and we got to a place where he felt comfortable about bringing the Zach Gelb Show, which I missed, doing and finding a way to be here. Now, this won't be my only job. This is a main priority of mine. Like I said, Compass Media Network's also a big priority of mine. Probably in the coming weeks, I will be on the radio and other places at other times. It will not be from 2 to 4 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm here right here on 365 Sports. But I've had other radio companies that reach out to me. That would say, do you want to film on this station? Do you want to, be part-time in that station? So I'm just trying to do as much as possible this year. This is the situation I'm in. I've had a very successful career so far. I'm still hungry for more. I'm only 31 years old. I made some good money in my career. I've saved properly. I can't kick up and put my feet up on the couch and retire. Look at the rent prices in New York City. Even with this new mayor, like I'm told the rent's supposed to go down. That hasn't been the case. I'm not going to give you too many political takes here. But I'm in a spot right now for the next year where I'm selling my union benefits. I get 3 months of severance from my old job, and I'm just trying to add as much work as possible. And when they came to me and they said, hey, we want to bring the Zach Gelb show here, and we want you to do a 2-hour show, and it will be on YouTube. You could get us also where all your podcasts are. Sometimes I don't finish a thought. And that was one of those things. Like afterwards, people go, oh, like you don't have the podcast. How am I going to listen to you if I don't? Like you can watch us and watch the show live. You can watch an archive on YouTube. But wherever you get your podcasts, when the show ends, Garrett Ross, my great producer, he will podcast the show on wherever you can find podcasts for 365 Sports. So you get us live here Monday through Friday from 2 to 4 p.m. Eastern time. You then also get us archived on YouTube, every single show, and you get us in podcast version as well. So enough about all like the housekeeping notes and how this works and how this came about. I am thrilled to be here. This is the first show. We had a great first hour. Continue to have a great second hour. We'll say goodbye at around 3:50 p.m. Eastern time-ish. And I think that this show in a 2-hour version is actually going to be better than when I did the 4-hour version of the show and then the 3-hour version of the show. Because don't get me wrong, like I'll still bullshit about food. Like you don't only get sports here. I will debate, Justin Herbert and the future of him just as much as I will debate blue cheese versus ranch, which by the way, and this gets controversial because we learned from the old show, Northeast guys like blue cheese, people down south like ranch. I will say this till the cows come home. Blue cheese is better than ranch. We will do a show that it's kind of like a bunch of people just talking at a bar. And I'll bring my friends along the way. Like coming up on Wednesday, Drew Bledsoe is going to join us. I'm looking forward to that conversation. Later in the week, Sean Alexander should join us as well. So we're going to bring you big guests on almost each and every show. That's what we're going to do. And I'm going to give you my opinions, and you're going to get me for 2 hours. And this is the cool part about it. I'm only on for 2 hours. So there's some other times you do a 4-hour show where you can futz around a little bit, right? Like not every segment is life or death. When I only have 2 hours and I get 4 segments a day, 4 segments. I'm used to 9 segments. I'm used to 12 segments. When you only get 4 segments a day, you got to get everything. And there's going to be days where, and even today, I can tell you this right now, where I'm going to get off the air and be like, man, I got to topic 1, 2, and 3, but I couldn't get to 4, 5, and 6. That's just the way that it's going to happen. But I can't wait to continue to build this audience, which already has such a great foundation, make it even better, and just be a team player here. So wherever I can help, I'll help. But you will get me here Monday through Friday from 2 to 4 p.m. Eastern time. All righty. Let's get back to the playoffs. We've already talked about the Eagles and the 49ers, A.J. Brown with his antics, the 49ers, and their toughness. We also already talked about the Green Bay Packers choking that game up against the Chicago Bears, the future of Matt LaFleur, how I would not give him a new contract after this year. I would walk into the final year of his contract and say, let's see what happens, and then the brilliance of Ben Johnson. What the Patriots have done this year, though, as we get to the Patriots and Chargers, it is unbelievable. It really is. And I get it. The offense wasn't phenomenal last night. Drake May didn't play his best game. That defense last night that I saw from the Patriots, I looked at them and I said, oh, hold on. Like, let me make sure that these glasses are cleaned. Let me make sure that my prescription is working. Are these the 2004 New England Patriots? That's what I saw from that defense last night. Milton will, some people think, oh, Trayvon Henderson's my best player, my favorite player. Drake May's my favorite player. Gonzo, Christian Gonzalez is my favorite player. No. My favorite player on the Patriots this year has been Milton Williams. And he's back in the fold, came back last week from the injury after being on IR, and 97. Oh, boy. That dude was awesome. And even afterwards, when he celebrated with Mike Vrabel, he gave Mike Vrabel a bloody lip when he basically rammed his helmet in Mike Vrabel's mouth. That dude was a killer on the football field last night. And eventually the offense did come. They had some turnovers. Drake May, He held on to the ball way too long. You can't double clutch. He faked the throw once, and then he fumbled it. He had the ball that was tipped, even though the defense ended up bailing him out and it got intercepted. But that throw to Hunter Henry down the left sideline into the end zone with 3 defenders there, and he just threads the needle and puts it right in the breadbasket of Hunter Henry. It was awesome. And there was an energy. There was a buzz in that stadium. I just felt it from I had friends at the game, but I just felt it from my couch. You know, and they're playing Bon Jovi late, and that stadium's rocking, and it sounded deafening through the TV. Now, I'm probably going to the game this weekend. I don't know if it's going to be 3:30 or 3 or 6 or 6:30, whatever the times are. We got to see who the Patriots do get. They'll either get the Steelers or the Texans because the Bills did win, and the Bills are going to be going to Denver to go up against the Broncos. But you take a look at that Patriots performance last night. The defense was that good. Ramondre Stevenson on the offensive side of the ball. I'm going to knock on wood here. I'm knocking on wood right now. But in that first Buffalo game where the Patriots won, Ramondre Stevenson, going back to last year, has had some fumbling issues. He looks like he has confidence back. And I'm watching the game last night on my couch. I'm saying, hold on to the ball. 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 And Ramondre Stevenson didn't fumble it. So that's a win last night for the Pats, where you look at who's left, Steelers or the Texans. And, you know, obviously, I thought the Patriots should have beat the Steelers early in the year. Ramondre Stevenson had all those fumbles. The Texans, their offense is tough to trust, but they got 2 of the better pass rushers in the NFL, and Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson. So whoever they get, I'm not sitting there and saying, oh, the Patriots are definitely going to lose. It could be a dogfight, but I think the Patriots could beat the Texans. I think the Patriots could beat the Steelers. I do. And then you look at who's there the other way. If the Patriots do take care of business on Sunday, then they go up against the winner of the Broncos and the Bills. And do I think the Patriots could beat the Broncos? Yeah, I think they're even. And I look at the Bills. Well, they beat them once, and then they choked away, the second time, and they lost the game. So let's see who wins out of 3. But that offense will be better. And Drake May's a heck of a quarterback. I know you may not have saw it last night, but that's his first postseason start. And even though there was a lot of adversity that he had to fight through, when he needed to put the game away, he found Hunter Henry. But that defense. I know we live in a world where it's all, let's slobber over the offense. Let's slobber over the quarterback. Let's slobber over the run game. Points, and more points. Defense last night was the story. Defense still wins championships. And Milton Williams was phenomenal. He was phenomenal in the game. Now, on the other side, the Chargers. I want to have a fair conversation about Justin Herbert. And I understand people will hear what I'm about to say, and they're going to say, Zach, do you know how many times you slam quarterbacks? And you're going to give Justin Herbert a pass for last night? I am. Justin Herbert didn't play well. There are still questions, and deservedly so, fair questions about Justin Herbert winning the big game. But this year, he's been without his left tackle and his right tackle. Alt and Slater. That offensive line was pathetic last night. And Justin Herbert's out there playing with one arm, right? His left arm is dangling, and the right arm, he's throwing the ball. That left hand, it's like the size of a beach ball. He's got a glove on it. It's the size of a beach ball, though. And you look at that offense. Yes, they got Ladd McConkey. Vidal's been a good story. Omari Hampton was in and out of the lineup. Keenan Allen back into the fold. He's not a lead anymore. Like, the Chargers need some more talent. Now, Justin Herbert, he's got to find a way to be competent in the game. And he wasn't competent last night. But my favorite quarterback and the greatest quarterback of all time is Tom Brady. Behind that offensive line, you could have put Tom Brady behind there last night, and Tom Brady wasn't winning that game. Look at it. Look when Brady's lost playoff games in his career. Giants, Jets, Ravens. What did all those teams do? They put Brady under duress. They put Brady on his ass all throughout the game. And that's what the Patriots did. The Patriots, in a violent, physical fashion, were all up in the mug of one Justin Herbert. Even little Marcus Jones stopped him right at the 2-yard line. And then big Milton Williams comes in. Here comes the boom. That's what happened. So I look at that game last night, and in one breath I say, oh, Justin Herbert. Postseason, blew the game to the Jaguars a few years back. Last year, I think he had 4 interceptions up against the Texans. This game, you only get 3 points. But that line was horrible. No quarterback. Brady, Mahomes, Montana, Unitas, Marino, Peyton Manning, like whoever. Put him under center last night behind that offensive line, and how much that defensive line was right in the face of one Justin Herbert. None of those quarterbacks are winning it, and I'm the biggest Brady fan on the planet. So, yes, there's a fair conversation about Justin Herbert. Is he a guy that's going to win a Super Bowl? Fair question. If you want to say no today, I don't fault you. The guy's never won a playoff game. The guy's had 3 duds in the postseason. But I don't look at that game last night, and I don't sit there, and I don't say like, oh, I see, some of my friends are like in the media, oh, Chargers is not working out with Justin Herbert. There's all these problems, blah, blah, blah. Like my buddy Pat Boyle, he's like, they got to move off of Justin. Like, what? Move off of Justin Herbert. The guy has talent of a top 10 quarterback in this league. The guy's a good quarterback. He's not great right now. He's not a top 5 quarterback in the league right now, and he's got postseason problems. But he's this young. Like, guys, do you forget? I'm not saying it's going to happen with Justin Herbert, but look how late in the career of John Elway it took for him to go win a Super Bowl. Peyton Manning got embarrassed early on in his postseason career. He ended up winning 2 Super Bowls. So can it eventually happen for Justin Herbert? Yes. But last night, I just didn't sit there, and the first thing out of my mouth wasn't, wow, Justin Herbert sucks. Justin Herbert blows. No, it wasn't. He didn't play well. Duh. Obvious hot take of the day. Obvious statement of the day. But no quarterback was beating that Patriots team last night, even when the Patriots offense didn't play that well, with how great that Patriots defense was. But it does not take brain surgery here, folks. You do not need a PhD in football to figure this one out. If you don't protect your quarterback, you don't win. Look at Brady how many times in his career. When he wasn't protected, that's when they lost to the Jets. That's when they lost to the Giants. That's when they lost to the Ravens. Look at Mahomes up against Tampa Bay. Didn't get protected. They got blown out. Up against the Eagles. Didn't get protected. Got blown out. So I understand it's easy to beat down on the dead horse today. That is Justin Herbert. And in our media landscape, usually on a Monday, coming off a big football Sunday, who do we usually criticize? Who do we usually talk about? Coaches and quarterbacks. Quarterbacks and coaches. And I get it. Jim Harbaugh didn't have a good one. No one's talking about Jim Harbaugh today. And I love Jim Harbaugh. But everyone's talking about Justin Herbert. I don't think it mattered who the quarterback was last night. I really don't. Behind that offensive line and with the way that the Patriots defense was playing, you could have the greatest quarterback of all time in Tom Brady playing, and he wasn't beating that Patriots team last night. It doesn't mean Herbert gets a pass. It doesn't mean that Herbert, you can't have higher standards for him, and you can't demand more out of him, and you can't criticize him today. But if you're being honest with yourself, if you put Brady, Mahomes, Manning, Montana, Favre under center last night with the way that line was playing, and Mekhi Becton just getting run over and over by defenders, are any of those quarterbacks winning? Are they winning? Maybe they make the game closer. Maybe they make it more serviceable. Maybe they make Drake May have to really put the ball in his hands and go win the game, and then maybe Drake May throws an interception to your defense, and maybe you win the game that way. But based off the quarterback ability, with the way that offensive line played last night, I don't think any quarterback was beating that Patriots defense. I just don't. So Patriots beat the Chargers. Patriots are going to get the winner of the Steelers-Texan game that does come your way tonight. All righty, let's do this. We'll take a break on 365 Sports. Zach Gelb here with you. This is the Zach Gelb Show. When we come on back, we still got to get to a bunch of different topics. We're going to talk about the future of John Harbaugh. There's a report out today that he's down to 2 teams. We will tell you who those 2 teams are. I'm also going to get into the transfer portal stuff, where we will talk about Dylan Raiola's new home and also Sam Levitt's new home. And we will also put a bow on Wild Card Weekend. We talked about the 49ers and the Eagles. We talked about the Panthers and the Rams. We also talked about the Packers and the Bears. We just said the Patriots and the Chargers. we did not get into the Bills and the Jaguars. And there's this like big debate online about a way a reporter handled herself after the game when talking to Liam Cohen. So we'll get all into that. So come on back. We will put a bow on what we've seen so far on Wild Card Weekend. I'll get into the Bills and the Jaguars just for a little bit and the pressure that's now on Josh Allen. We'll get into the college football stuff with Levitt and Raiola. I'll give you a thought on the game tonight. And we will then hand it off to Smokey and company right here on 365 Sports. This is the Zach Gelb Show.
What I love most about playing basketball is the competition. I really just like being shifty, mastering hesitation moves, changing direction, building chemistry with new teammates. If you're not having fun while you're playing, there's no point in playing the game. You know what to do. Escape Basics. Pair of Thieves quick dry underwear. It wicks away sweat and helps keep you dry. You looking forward to fishing season?
Overwhelmed by your inbox? Clean Email is here to help. Organize, clean, and manage your emails with powerful automation tools. Say goodbye to spam and clutter and enjoy a stress-free inbox. Try Clean Email today at cleanemail.com.
I'm here to work out with you.
We did not put this little cookie cutter program together.
I'm in there with you, sweating, yelling, doing the damn thing.
Transform by Core Home Fitness.
A secret, I travel internationally every year. I struggle with insomnia both at home and especially in hotels. This was life-changing. It's called Fly Kit. My favorite aspect of the Fly Kit is it tells you when to sleep.
Dude, check out this robe. This is the dude robe. It's perfect for after the shower, gym, or even the beach. This thing is awesome. It also has this super premium towel lining to dry you off right away. Dude, what are you waiting for? Get yourself a dude robe today.
At Dreamy, we believe that life can be upgraded in comfort, convenience, and joy. He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
We have 2 hours for you, Monday through Friday from 2 to 4 p.m. Eastern Time. This is the Zach Gelb Show on our brand new home, 365 Sports. If you used to listen to me when I was on CBS Sports Radio, Infinity Sports Network, Sirius XM, 920 The Jersey, 97.5 The Fanatic, I appreciate you finding us on our brand new home, 365 Sports. And we will be here Monday through from appreciate all for making this thing possible. In addition to Ross, my producer extraordinaire, getting a bunch of super chats, by the way. And I appreciate people that are jumping on in on YouTube and they are sending us money in the 365 Sports family money. Drunkle Sam coming out from the old show, spending some money right there. So we appreciate him. And then, oh boy, see, this is the tough part. I have a little screen in front of me that's further away, and the writing is very small. So let me see right here. You got Kim sending a super chat saying, welcome to the 365 Sports family. So I thank her very much. So, that's thing, Psych Mamter. Oh, Garrett, you're going to love Psych Mamter, by the way. Psych Mamter, I request things to be done on the internet, Photoshops, and within 45 seconds, Psych Mamter has something sent back. So I do appreciate Psych Manter for sending in a super chat. Laura making her way back to the Zach Gelb Show family, also sending a super chat as well. And we thank so much. And Psych Manter back in there. So we appreciate that. And then there was like one for $49 that was sent in, $49.99. So I guess you could send super chats here. So we appreciate people doing that on the first ever show and making us welcomed here in the 365 sports community, and also some of our loyal listeners through the years now joining this community. It is very cool. All right. There's a ton of pressure. I don't think, I know there's no more pressure on any quarterback and coach this year in the NFL playoffs than Josh Allen and Sean McDermott. Like, look at all the teams remaining. If the Patriots lose this upcoming weekend, are we going to be sitting there and saying, oh, man, what a disaster by Drake May and Mike Vrabel not winning? If Sean Payton and Bo Nix lose even division round weekend to the Bills, are we going to be slamming them? Are you going to be remembering this in 2 months from now? No, you're not. There's pressure on the Rams, but you don't know how many more times Stafford's going to be able to do this, but they've already won a Super Bowl. The Bears have already had an unbelievable season. So, like, you look through all these teams, and after tonight, there's going to be 8 remaining. Like, the Steelers or the Texans, there's not a lot of pressure on them. Don't get me, there's pressure on Sam Darnold because he's got to eliminate that he can't be a big game quarterback. The 49ers, there is some pressure on Shanahan just because it's so open, but there's going to be outs. There are outs for the Niners with how many injuries that they suffered. But you look at it, Josh Allen is the quarterback under the most pressure this year in the postseason, and Sean McDermott is the coach under the most pressure. So you look at this, the Bills, like if I would have told the Bills before the season started, you'll be in the divisional round weekend, and there would be no Joe Burrow, no Lamar Jackson, and oh yeah, by the way, that guy Kryptonite that keeps on kicking your ass and finding ways to just embarrass you in the worst way possible, Mahomes won't be there, you'd have signed up for that in a second. So the Bills, they have the remaining teams of the Patriots, the Broncos, and then also either the Texans or the Steelers, whoever gets out of this tonight. So with that being said, you look at this road for the Bills and how many times people have had the Bills as a team where we thought they were going to win and they don't. If the Bills don't win it this year, and I get it, the Bills have some problems. They do. Like wide receivers, no one blows you away. James Cook's a heck of a running back. But Josh Allen is Superman. Josh Allen, I know the MVP debate has been between Stafford, Allen, and May. And it's really now down to Stafford and May. But Josh Allen is the best quarterback in the sport, in my opinion. Josh Allen right now, that team asks him to do so much. And what he did on Sunday in the 1:00 p.m. Eastern time window, where let's be real, that game was right there for the taking. He eventually put his cape on and he said, I'm going to be Superman. I'm not going to allow the Buffalo Bills to lose the game. And that's the thing. You need 3 more victories. You could go into Denver and you could win. You could win the AFC Championship game. And then if it's up against either the Bears, the Seahawks, the 49ers, whoever it may be, the Rams, you could beat them in the Super Bowl. You don't have to beat Joe Burrow this year. You don't got to beat Lamar Jackson again this year where you beat him twice. You don't got to beat Mahomes where all you do is beat Mahomes and the Chiefs in the regular season, but you can't get the job done in the postseason. So yes, was it the prettiest thing that you ever saw in the world for the Buffalo Bills? No. Is it one where you may wipe the sweat off the cabeza and go, whew, we survived? Yeah, it is. But style points don't matter this time of the year. It's win and advance. And there was a lot of people ready to fire Sean McDermott in that game yesterday. There was people ready to rip Josh Allen yesterday in the game, and they ended up walking out of Duval with the victory. Now, I will say this, because sometimes, this sounds really douchey to say, folks. Sometimes you forget the power that you have in the business and the platform that you have and the amount of eyeballs that are on you. So there are times where I know we're going to go viral. Like when Aaron Donald had that PR rep step in, I knew that was going to go viral in an interview. When Deebo Samuel hung up the phone on me in an interview, I knew that was going to go viral. When I had a report on the old show where I knew that Urban Meyer was interested in the Penn State job, and I was told from people that I trust that the talks broke down with the powers that be at Penn State with Urban Meyer when it came to NIL, I knew that was going to get a reaction. And I knew people were going to talk about that because that's newsworthy things. I didn't know that Urban Meyer was going to respond to it, but he did. And then I went back at him, and then that was pretty much it. But yesterday, I'm sitting on my couch and I'm watching that Bills-Jaguars game. I can't take Tony Romo anymore. I like Jim Nantz. Jim has been extremely benevolent to me in my career. I still think Jim Nantz is one of the greatest play-by-play guys in the history of sports. Romo, though, has been unbearable. So yesterday, I'm sitting on the couch. I don't even remember what I tweeted out, but it was something that was pretty innocuous. It wasn't anything crazy. I don't think it had any profanity in it. It wasn't controversial. And then it's getting picked up all over the place. And you got like Dave Portnoy slamming Tony Romo, then Zach Gelb slamming Tony Romo, and a few other people as well. And we all grouped together in this one article. So the tweet that I had as I go through this, let me find it. Tony Romo seems absolutely lost during the first half of this broadcast. It's a brutal listen right now. That's all I said. And the next thing you know, it's in the Daily Mail. It's on Sports Illustrated. I'm getting tagged in it all over the place. Awful announcing. But he was. I was joking with a buddy of mine where I was watching the game with, and I said, it sounds like he's on a gummy. It sounds like it's a 420 time for one Tony Romo, and he doesn't sound all that coherent. But at the end of, at some point in the first half, Josh Allen had a touchdown, and he's like, oh, wait a second, Jim, wait a second. And he's saying that the officials may take this one off the board, and then the kicker's right out there, and he's kicking the extra point. And I'm saying, what is he seeing? What is he watching? And I stood on an island alone in Tony Romo's first year. But don't get me wrong. Him predicting plays was cool. Him predicting plays was fun. And I said, that's neat. But people acted as if he was the greatest color analyst of all time. I'm like, folks, slow your roll a little bit. Calm down. The guy's a very good announcer, but he is not the greatest thing that I've ever heard. And through the years, I've been proven to be right. Where, who would you rather have as a color analyst? Troy Aikman or Tony Romo? Not even close, Aikman. Chris Collinsworth or Tony Romo? Not even close. Chris Collinsworth with the nice sweater last night. Yeah, the turtleneck he was wearing. How good was Tom Brady yesterday? Right, all you dopes that last year were like, oh, Brady's terrible. Poor Greg Olsen. Wah! And don't get me wrong, Brady was bad last year. But in the postseason, Brady got really good. Yesterday, him having the football in his hand and showing you how to throw a football in the wind was really good stuff. So you go through this. Herb Street, I don't love doing the NFL. I love him doing college. Herb Street's better at the NFL than Romo is right now. Romo's making a ton of money. He is unbearable to listen to. He really is. So that's how I look back at Bills-Jaguars. Bills survive in advance. Trevor Lawrence, when the game on the line, he throws the interception. How anticlimactic was that? He gets the ball back and boom, right away, interception. It was terrible. Terrible. I thought they're at least going to make you sweat it out, and there's going to be some crazy finish, and it's like, oh, the Bills going to have victory snatch from the jaws victory snatch from the jaws of defeat. Like, was that going to happen again? Jaguars going to snatch that victory? Were they going to do that in a game where the Bills should have won and then not? And the next thing you know, boop, interception right away. So after the game, because there's three parts of this. It's Romo, who I just can't stand right now. I can't listen to him. It's Allen and McDermott surviving. There's a reporter, and you got to listen to this interaction because everyone's freaking out about this, and their panties are in such a bunch because, right, you got to be traditional, you got to be a journalist, all that stuff. Listen to this exchange with the reporter and Liam Cohen after the game. Go ahead.
Congratulations on your success, young man.
Thank
you. Hold your head up, all right? You guys have had a most magnificent season.
Thank you.
And you did a great job out there today.
Appreciate
so you just hold your head up, okay?
Thank
and
you,
ladies
ma'am.
and gentlemen, Duval, you the one, all
Thank
right?
you, ma'am.
keep it going. We got another season, okay?
I appreciate
Take
it.
care and much continued success to you and the entire team.
Thank you, ma'am.
So that is in Jones. This is not to be disrespectful. You know who Jones was before yesterday. But she's been doing this for a long time. Now, I learned this from a mentor of mine, Angelo Cataldo. When I do a show, I'm an entertainer. I've always refuted the notion that I'm a journalist. Like people say, oh, you're a journalist. No. I'm an entertainer. But there are moments where you act like a journalist. Like when I do interviews, I'm trying to get the guest to say something. I feel as if I'm like a journalist. I've been in press conferences before where I've had to ask, like Aaron Rodgers, are you thinking about retirement? I feel as if you get a more serious Zach in that setting. Would I, Zach Gelb, have sat in that press conference and said, hey, Liam Cohen, you had a great season. Like, you're the man, Duval, and give him like a pep talk? I personally wouldn't. But I'm going to sit here and am I going to crush Lynn Jones? No, I'm not. Like, I would not have done it if I was in the press conference room. I probably would have sat there and say, you probably shouldn't have done it. But there are people in the media that they think what they're doing is the most important thing in this world. And every question that gets asked, it is life or death. And I see people saying, oh, she set the industry back. She set the industry back for women. And I'm like, guys, what we're doing is not that serious. Once again, I would not have done it. I wouldn't have. If I was in the press conference room, I probably would have done a double take and said, what the heck is going on? But is that 20-second clip? 25-second clip? Is it the end of the world? It's not. It's not the end of the world. It's different. It was positive. You know, if I'm trying to be Lynn there in that press conference, and full disclosure, I did not sit there and I did not watch the entirety of the Liam Cohen press conference after his team lost. I didn't. So I don't know what was said before that. I don't know if that was just a question and that was it. But if I was her, this is what I would have done. Coach, you had a remarkable first season. I know that this ending isn't what you wanted. And then I would have said, I wouldn't have said how bittersweet this is, but I would have said, how do you reflect on this season? Accomplished a lot in year one. That's what I could. And if you wanted to insert your own opinion, maybe you go, hey, coach, I know this didn't end the way that you wanted to. I thought it was an incredible season. You did an unbelievable job this year. Just how do you reflect on year one? And what are you most proud of from this season? Maybe you could have done it that way. But if she wanted to raise her hand, they call into the press conference and say, hey, coach, you did a great job. We love you. You know, Liam, like we love you. I would have done it. But do I have to sit there and talk down to the audience today? Like, do I have to sit there and be one of these journalist snobs and go, oh, she set the industry back. Oh, what she did, it cost me from asking her a question. You got to be objective. That's embarrassing. You don't terms of the credentials. Like, come on. Now, you may think it, but do I need to put it out there publicly? Like, no. It was what? 20 seconds max? 25 max? And everyone is going to be losing their mind over this today? That's all I've seen on social media from that game. Lynn Jones and the question. Like, what else were we going to get asked? Yeah. How does it feel to lose the game? Oh, the TV reporters. I have been in enough of those press conferences where it is just cheesy, bad press conferences. Like, really, like, terrible questions. How tough is it going to be to overcome this loss? How do you feel when Trevor Lawrence threw the interception at the end of the game? That's what you get in a lot of these. So is what Lynn did the end of the world? No, it's not. Would I have done it? No. But I'm going to sit here and just shred her for it and tell you how journalism should work. I won't do that either. All righty, two big news in the transfer news items in the transfer portal. Sam Levitt going to LSU. 2 years ago, I interviewed Sam Levitt. And that's when he was at Arizona State. That dude has confidence. He has swagger. And 2 years ago, we saw them get to the college football playoff with Arizona State. They had that epic game up against Texas where they lost it, but they could have easily won the game. And it was a tremendous comeback. Cam Scatterbo was sensational in that game. And then this past year, Arizona State wasn't bad. Sam Levitt got hurt. He was in that lineup. But for whatever reason, Sam Levitt said, I'm going to leave Kenny Dillingham, who is an up-and-coming coach who's deserving of a bigger job. Like, I thought Kenny Dillingham I like Kyle Whittingham. I thought Kenny Dillingham should have taken the job with Michigan. So Sam Levitt wants to leave. And there was this belief that Sam Levitt was going to Kentucky. And then the next thing you know, Kenny Minchie, who was already telling Nebraska he was going there, he then signs with Kentucky. So you sit there and you go, Sam Levitt is clearly not going to Kentucky. And then talks of Oregon, and then it comes out today that he's going to LSU. I am curious to see Sam Levitt, who a lot of people thought would be a first-round pick when the season started, how he will be in a bigger conference in the SEC. And from a personality standpoint, whether you like him or not, Lane Kiffin and Sam Levitt have similar personalities. So I'm curious to see how that's going to go. Now, Dylan Raiola, he's someone in the last 2 years, Nebraska went to back-to-back bowl games. Now, they won the bowl game a year ago. This year, in that big game up against USC, and then he had the broken leg. And it was so unfortunate. Nebraska was the same after. Raiola is good. When I watch him play, I haven't seen him be great. And when he was leaving Nebraska, it seemed like he was going to be going, and it was like, where is he going? There was no spot that really emerged, and then it's Oregon. Now, if Dante Moore comes back, according to Pete Thamel, I read this earlier today, you will have Raiola City here, like what Dante Moore did when he was coming over from UCLA, and Dylan Raiola is fine with that. I think Moore is going to go to the NFL draft. I do believe Fernando Mendoza is going to be the #1 overall pick, and then the Jets will make Dante Moore the 2nd overall pick. So I do think Raiola is going to play for Dan Lanning, who I'm a big fan of. Now, Oregon, they just got abused in that football game. Abused. And it was a bad look for Oregon, but Indiana's the better football team, and they beat him twice this year. So Raiola, I'm curious if he can take that next step, because he's been good, but he's supposed to be great. So those are my 2 thoughts on Dylan Raiola landing at Oregon reportedly, and he already announced on his social media that Sam Levitt going to LSU. Now, finally, before we wrap this up, prediction on the game tonight. Steelers and Texans. I woke up this morning, right? Little Sopranos right there. And I thought to myself, the Texans are going to win. And the reason why I think the Texans are going to win is because of that pass rush with Danielle Hunter and with Will Anderson. But I don't trust CJ Stroud. I don't. So I woke up this morning thinking Texans, and I could see just Anderson and Hunter just smothering Aaron Rodgers. And right, this is it for Aaron Rodgers. And Mike Tomlin hasn't won a playoff game since the 2016 season. That's what I was thinking this morning with the Texans. But as I sit here right now with a minute left in our debut show on 365 Sports, the Zach Gelb show, I'm thinking the Steelers are going to win. So I think this is ugly. I think this is like a 2017 game, a 17-13, 17-14 type of game. I'm going to take the Steelers to win tonight. Once again, big thanks to John Valade. Big thanks also to Corey Dickman for welcoming me into the 365 Sports family. Garrett Ross, our tremendous producer, getting us up on the air, being sensational with the graphics. But most importantly, a huge thank you to each and every one of you for tuning on in. This is the debut edition of the Zach Gelb Show on 365 Sports. Make sure you subscribe to us on 365 Sports. Subscribe right now. And also, within the 365 Sports page, you can find the Zach Gelb Show YouTube page. Subscribe. You can watch us live on YouTube on 365 Sports Monday through Friday from 2 to 4 p.m. Eastern Time. When the show ends, it immediately gets archived. You can watch it back whenever you want. And wherever you find your podcast, 365 Sports, you can find our content. We will talk tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. We appreciate you joining us. Until next time, everybody, I'm Zach Gelb. We'll talk to you tomorrow, Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. We out. Bye. Peace.
For the past 4 years, we have trusted Jackery to keep us powered while on the road. The Explorer 5000 Plus provides 5,040 watt hours of portable power to pair it with the smart transfer